up? My name is Melissa Makak, and this is Teach the Teach 101 on the Dice Tower, where I teach you general tips and tricks on how to teach board games. And in this video, I'll be covering how to play to teach and not to win. Now, I don't mean this in terms of like playing to lose in order to teach. That's not what I mean, right? You could still play competitively, you could still try to win the game, but that shouldn't be your ultimate goal. Your ultimate goal is actually teaching the game, at least for that time that you're playing the game, when you're actually teaching it. Now, you are absolutely not playing to lose. That is not what I'm asking you to do, or suggesting you do, right? You definitely want to play, and not just like let players do better than you just so they like the game or whatever it might be, although sometimes you might want to, I don't know. But you might want to take it down a notch to not crush them, because that could be, well, your playing group better than anybody, so if something like that would turn them off from the game, maybe not do that. But mostly what I want to talk about is using like suboptimal moves just to showcase mechanisms. So I sort of touched a little bit upon this in my 7 Wonders Teach the Teach, so you could go ahead and check that out if you'd like. But essentially what I was doing was I was saying that you might choose a card from your hand, and let's say you choose, like a green card, like a science card or whatever, that isn't exactly what you want. It won't really give you any benefit or anything like that, but you just want to show the other players that you're teaching what this actually does. Or like the yellow card, right? Like the one that has like a whole bunch of symbols on it, and you just want to show like, hey, this is what these symbols mean, even though that's not really a card that you wanted or needed in the moment. So you might want to make suboptimal decisions in order to just showcase mechanisms that are a little bit more difficult to understand, or that you notice that players are having a difficulty understanding. So that's one thing you could do. Another thing is giving players tips on certain strategies or what to do within the first few turns. So again, you don't want to hold back, right? You don't want to be like, oh no, I'm not going to tell you like, what I like to do, because then I'm giving away strategy and whatever. Like, that's not the best thing to do, I think, right? Now, I'm not talking about quarterbacking. You don't want to tell people what to do on their turn, like, oh, this is the best thing to do, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of times I get asked, like, sometimes players are overwhelmed by the amount of choices or something, like maybe something like Twilight Imperium, right? Where you have a bunch of options on your turn. You can only make, a couple of things happen. And you do have these objectives out, but you could be overwhelmed by just the options, or even like a Feast for Odin, like what should I do, So you might want to direct players and say like, hey, maybe you want to focus on this for the first couple of turns, and then you could build up from there. Like I love in Scythe, and Jamie Stegmaier actually kind of came up with this in his like how to teach Scythe little card and his video, which is perfect, right? So for Scythe, there's a lot of things going on, but he says, and I actually said it as well in my Teach the Teach for Scythe, a goal is to make it that you can actually use the bottom row action. So you could build up your engine until you can actually use a bottom row action. So that way it gives players some sort of goal in mind. So this is so that you're not quarterbacking, but you're giving them some sort of comprehension of what they should be doing the first few turns to kind of get the hang of it, right? And also letting them know that it is the first time playing, so it might be a little more daunting and a little more difficult to get your footing, but after the first playthrough, you'll most likely feel like, oh, okay, I kind of know what I want to do for next time, which is always great, because then it makes players want to play again, which is awesome. Usually that happens for me anyway. I'm like, okay, now that I get it, I want to play it again because I know what to do next time. And then that usually fails, and then I want to play again, and so on and so forth. And so I have a bunch of board games and I love them. Anyway, that's really what I wanted to touch on for this episode. Playing to teach and not exactly or certainly to win. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know down in the comments below what you like to do on how to teach without necessarily trying to win, but your goal of the game is trying to teach players. What are some things that maybe I missed in this video? Or maybe you completely disagree with me and you should crush them all. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I will catch you next time.